You have seen this thousands of times. A power line stretching across the road or above the field behind your house or over the parking lot you walk through every morning, and on it, birds. Sometimes a handful, sometimes dozens. Sitting in a row, evenly spaced, mostly still, oriented the same direction. A starling, a swallow, a mourning dove, a row of them settled on the wire like something placed there deliberately. You have looked at this so many times it has become part of the scenery, one of those things the world does that you register without really seeing. And you have assumed the thing almost everyone assumes, that the birds are resting, that the wire is a convenient elevated surface where a bird can pause between flights, settle for a moment, and take a break from the work of being a bird. That assumption is wrong. Not partially wrong, completely wrong. In a way that changes what you think you understand about what those birds are doing up there, what the power line represents to them, and what is actually happening in that row of motionless silhouettes every time you drive past without slowing down. Welcome back to Wild Bird Whisper. Subscribe before you leave because what you are about to learn has been happening overhead your entire life, and you have never had the framework to see it. Today we are going into the real reason birds sit on power lines, not in vague terms. Specifically, what the bird at the top of that wire is doing, why the spacing between individual birds is not random, what researchers discovered about power lines and bird navigation that almost nobody talks about, and why the behavior you are most likely to dismiss as idle has a survival function that took millions of years to develop. Stay until the end, because the last thing we cover is a finding from electromagnetic biology research that, once you understand it, makes those neat rows of birds on the wires above your street look like something much more complicated and much more fragile than you ever realized. Number 1. The perch that is not comfortable. Start with the physical reality of a power line from the bird's perspective. A power line is thin, it is cylindrical, slick, and it moves in the wind. It is exposed on all sides with no shelter, no thermal buffering from vegetation, no surrounding structure to block incoming weather. On a cold morning, a wire radiates no warmth. On a hot afternoon, a dark wire in direct sun can become hot enough to be genuinely uncomfortable to grip. Power lines are not comfortable perches. There is nothing about the structure of a wire that would make it an appealing place to rest if rest were the goal. Birds have access to branches, fence posts, roof edges, dense shrub interiors. All of these offer more shelter, more thermal benefit, more structural stability than a wire strung in open air. The reason birds choose power lines specifically has nothing to do with comfort. It has everything to do with elevation and unobstructed sight lines. A bird sitting on a power line can see in almost every direction with nothing blocking its view. No leaves, no branches, no structures interrupting the field of vision. The wire runs through open air, and the bird on it sits above the visual plane of most of its environment. In that position, it can detect an approaching hawk before the hawk clears the tree line. It can see a foraging opportunity in the field below from a distance that allows time to respond. It can track competitors, potential mates, and territorial intruders across a landscape it surveys from a single fixed point. A power line is not a rest stop. It is a watchtower. The bird up there is not resting. It is scanning. Research on perch selection in open country birds consistently shows that elevated perches with unobstructed sight lines are selected preferentially, even when more comfortable alternatives are available nearby. The discomfort of the wire is worth the surveillance advantage. A bird that can see everything coming has more time to respond. For a species that lives under constant predator pressure, that time is not a luxury. It is what keeps the bird alive. Number 2. The loudest stage in an open landscape. There is a second function running parallel to the surveillance function, and one you have probably heard without connecting it to the perch. Many of the birds on power lines are singing. Not all of them and not all the time, but if you pay attention to which birds are on the wire and what they are doing, a significant number are producing territorial vocalizations. The mockingbird working through 30 songs in sequence on the wire above your street. The red-winged blackbird at the highest point on the wire at the marsh edge, calling with wings half open. The kingbird at the field border, singing and watching simultaneously. Height matters for sound propagation. A bird singing from elevation transmits its territorial signal further and in more directions than the same song produced from inside dense vegetation. The bird on the wire is not just watching, it is broadcasting. Research on territory defense in open country songbirds has documented that males using elevated song posts defend larger territories and deter more intrusion attempts than males of the same species using lower perches in comparable habitat. The wire is the highest available position across a wide stretch of open landscape. The bird chose it for the same reason a radio tower is built tall. The physics of sound propagation favor the elevated position. When you see a bird on a power line singing, you are watching a territorial broadcast from an optimal transmission point. Number 3, the gathering before the gathering. Here is the behavior that makes power lines sitting most visible and the one that almost no one watching it understands. On autumn afternoons across much of North America, power lines fill with swallows. Barn swallows, tree swallows, cliff swallows. Dozens and then hundreds strung across the wires in lines that visibly thicken over the course of an hour. They are restless, constantly repositioning, occasionally lifting as a group and resettling 100 meters down the line. Then, at some point in the late afternoon, a significant portion of the group lifts together and moves south. What you are watching is not a rest stop before migration. It is social calibration. It is information exchange on a scale the individual bird cannot access alone. Research on pre-migratory aggregation in barn swallows documented that birds using wire gatherings are assessing each other's condition and behavior in real time. Birds in better energetic condition, those that have been foraging successfully, influence the behavior of birds around them. The timing and direction of departure from a wire gathering is not random. It propagates through the assembled group like a wave, beginning with the most experienced individuals and pulling others into coordinated movement. A young bird on its first southbound migration does not have a stored route. It has instinct, and it has the behavior of experienced birds around it. The wire gathering is the mechanism by which accumulated migratory experience becomes available to birds making the journey for the first time. What looks like a rest stop is a decision-making assembly. Number 4, the signal the bird cannot see and cannot navigate through. This is the finding that changes everything about those rows of birds above your street. Birds navigate using the Earth's magnetic field. Not as a felt sensation, not like pressure or temperature, but in many species as a light-dependent visual process. A directional gradient overlaid on their visual field. The magnetoreception system that makes this possible is sensitive, genuinely sensitive. Research has documented that magnetic field disruptions well below levels humans can detect are sufficient to compromise the navigational accuracy of migratory birds. Power lines generate electromagnetic fields, not only high-voltage transmission lines. Standard distribution lines, the ones running through residential neighborhoods, above suburban streets, over the same back roads where you see those rows of birds every morning, generate low-frequency electromagnetic fields across a measurable radius around the wire. A study published in PLOS One by researchers at the University of Oldenburg found that low-level electromagnetic noise at frequencies produced by standard power infrastructure was sufficient to completely disrupt the magnetic compass orientation of European robins during migration. Birds that retained full navigational accuracy in shielded conditions became disoriented when exposed to electromagnetic noise at levels consistent with the ambient field near ordinary power lines. The birds sitting on the wire above your street are not aware of this. They cannot perceive the electromagnetic field. They cannot detect that the navigational system they depend on for long-distance movement is being disrupted by the structure they have chosen for its surveillance advantage. They sit in rows above the road, calmly scanning, doing what they evolved to do, while the electromagnetic output of the infrastructure beneath their feet degrades equipment they need to survive the season. You are not supposed to feel settled looking at this. The researchers documenting these findings did not feel settled either. Number 5. The space between the birds. Look at a group of birds on a wire, not a pre-migratory swallow aggregation, but a typical group of 3, 5, 7 birds on the wire on an ordinary morning. Notice the spacing. They are not clustered. They are not at maximum separation. They are spaced at a distance that is almost regular, almost deliberate. A gap between each bird that is consistent enough across species to have a name in behavioral research. It is called individual distance. And it is not a preference, it is a survival parameter. Each bird on that wire maintains a minimum clearance from its nearest neighbor. That clearance represents the distance within which an approaching bird transitions from tolerable to threatening. Inside individual distance, a bird cannot react quickly enough to an unexpected movement without collision risk. Outside it, the bird has reaction time. Research on individual distance in perched aggregations has documented that the spacing is actively maintained. A bird that shifts toward another on the wire will cause the second bird to shift away at a rate that preserves the gap. The spacing is continuously negotiated through micro-adjustments the birds make without appearing to move much at all. What you read as stillness in a row of birds is continuous real-time management of spatial relationships. Each bird knows exactly where its nearest neighbors are. Each is positioned to detect movement from those neighbors faster than that movement could result in contact. When one bird at the end of the line suddenly lifts, watch how quickly the others respond. The information travels through the row faster than the visual signal could account for if each bird were responding independently. They are responding to each other. The spatial configuration of the row is what makes that transmission possible. Every bird in the line is a node. The row itself is a threat detection network. What you have been driving past your entire life is not a row of birds resting. It is a line of surveillance platforms, territorial broadcast positions, social information exchanges, and distributed threat detection networks perched inside electromagnetic environments that science is still working to fully understand. The birds on the wire above your street are scanning approaches from every direction simultaneously, broadcasting territorial claims to the furthest reach of their range, calibrating departure timing against the behavior of more experienced individuals, maintaining spacing parameters that allow threat information to move through the group at a speed individual reaction cannot match. And some of them, without knowing it, are sitting in a low-frequency electromagnetic field that may be interfering with the compass they need to find their way south in the weeks ahead. The next time you stop at a red light and look at the wire above the intersection and see 6 or 7 birds in that characteristic row, with that characteristic spacing, you will know what you are actually looking at. Not birds resting, birds working, running the systems they run every day of their lives in a landscape built for everything except them, on the best available perch in a geometry that was not designed with their needs in mind. Tell me in the comments, where do you see birds on power lines most? What species? What time of day? And have you ever seen the wave move through a row of them when one bird suddenly lifts? I want to hear about it. I read every one. I'll see you in the next.